Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinars. Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Conference on Social Work, Sciences, Respecting Diversity, Inclusion, Social Action, and Sustainable Development 2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns, India's G20 presidency, International Webinar Series on Holistic Health and Wellbeing, Sustainable Development 2022-2023, in collaboration with sriholistichealthfoundationindia and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. So before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's proceedings. We welcome you all to the 8th day of 10 days international conference. So before we take up the presentations for the day, today we have commemoration of the outreach program of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery, which was established in 2007 with the adoption of the General Assembly Resolution 62 of 122. The program raises awareness of the history of the transatlantic slave trade and its impact on the modern world and its legacies, including racism and prejudice. Over the years, the program has established a global network of partners, including from educational institutions and civil society, and develop resources and initiatives to educate the public about this dark chapter of the history and promote action against racism. This year, the theme for 2023 is Fighting Slavery's Legacy of Racism through Transformative Education. The enslavement of over 13 million Africans during the transatlantic slave trade was driven by the racist ideology that these women, men, and children were inferior because of the color, skin. Countless families were torn apart. Scores of human beings lost their lives despite experiencing serious human rights violation, and its intergenerational trauma over centuries. Enslaved people persevered in their resilience, demonstrating courage and defiance against the condition of enslavement, forced labor, and systematic violence and oppression. The racist legacy of the transatlantic slave trade reverberates today in harmful prejudices and beliefs which are still being perpetuated and continue to impact people of African descent across the world. Transformative education, which seeks to empower learners to see that the total social world critically and through an ethical lens to challenge and change to the status quo as agents of change, is essential to the work of teaching and learning about slavery in order to end racism and injustice and to build inclusive societies based on dignity and human rights for all people everywhere.
We want to to show through this exhibition that this history belongs to all of us. It's national history. It's about your ancestors, my ancestors. It's about the people who were part of the system, the people who were enslaved, and the people who fought against it. We're hoping that these 10 stories that we gathered will be the beginning of a larger conversation with millions of stories, because we understand that this is at least 250 years of history and a large region that we have to speak about. So by bringing this out in the open, we are building a common future. When George Floyd died and all of the Black Lives Matter movements around the world showed that we need to take a harder and more critical look at slavery, this really pushed us forward to bring this to the fore.
Today is also commemorated as International Day of Solidarity with detained and missing staff members. Since the founding of the United Nations in 1945, hundreds of brave men and women have lost their lives in its service. During the 1990s, the growing number and scale of UN peacekeeping missions put many more to risk. More peoples were lost during 1990s than in the previous 4 decades combined. At the time, an awareness began to develop among the member states and staff that the more active the UN became in the future, the more it was going to be targeted. The first resolution on staff security was adopted by the UN Security Council in September 1993. Complex negotiations subsequently took place in the 6th Legal Committee of the General Assembly on an international legal convention to protect the UN personnel. The result of those negotiations was the Convention of the Safety of United Nations and Associated Personnel, which was adopted by the UN General Assembly on 9th December 1994. The International Day of Solidarity with detained and missing staff members is marked each year on the anniversary of the abduction of Alec Pollett, a former journalist who was working for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, when he was abducted by the armed gunman in 1985. His body was finally found in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley in 2009. So the International Day of Solidarity with Detained and Missing Staff Members has taken on even greater importance in recent years as attacks against the United Nations intensify. This is a day to mobilize action, demand justice, and strengthen our resolve to protect the UN staff and peacekeepers, as well as our colleagues in a non-governmental community and the press. So this is a day to mobilize action, demand justice, and strengthen our resolve to put UN staff and peacekeepers, as well as our colleagues in the non-governmental community and the press. Today, we are also commemorating the International Day of the Unborn Child, who are frequently denied the same rights as those who are born because their perceived value and the right to life are linked to the wants and desires of the mother who carries the child in her womb. Unborn children, on the other hand, exist and are living members of the human family. So this day is dedicated to commemorating all unborn children, celebrating their lives, renewing our commitment to safeguarding them, and advocating against abortion violence. Terminating a pregnancy is a difficult decision that frequently necessitates a lot of thought. Abortion is performed for a variety of reasons, including unintended pregnancy, financial hardship, health concerns, socioeconomic factors, and many others. Abortion is a loss regardless of the reason, and various people deal with it in different ways. Every year on March 25th, the world commemorates the International Day of the Unborn Child. This day is commemorated as a day of protest against abortion and is observed as an annual commemoration of aborted fetus. Unconventional social customs continue to plague society to this day. Abortion and death of unborn children are examples of such practices. In 2019, approximately 630,000 legal abortions were reported in the United States, according to a report. In 2019, according to the World Health Organization, 22% of all pregnancies in the United States, excluding miscarriages, result in abortion. Every year, an estimated of 40 to 50 million abortions are performed over the world, equating to around 125,000 abortions each day. In the United States, approximately 24,000 babies are stillborn each year. After 28 weeks of pregnancy, 60% of the fetus fatalities occur. As diverse as the experience and reasons for losing a baby may be, stigma, shame, and guilt emerge as similar themes around the world. So women can publicly express their grief and mourn their losses on this day. And not only that, this day honors the thousands of unborn infants whose lives has been cut short as a result of abortions. From the moment of conception, every human life should be valued and treated with dignity. It also reminds us that human life should be respected at all stages. It teaches us to value all living beings, and as a reminder that every human life is unique. And today is also commemorated as Earth Hour, which is observed annually on the last Saturday of March. It was created by the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF, and is held annually, encouraging individuals, communities, and businesses to turn off non-essential electrical lights for 1 hour from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. as a symbol of commitment to the planet. So it was created to actively involve each of us in the fight against climate change and started as Lights Off event in Sydney, Australia in 2007. It is now a worldwide event encouraging everyone to turn off non-essential electric lights for an hour between 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on the last Saturday of March. In 2004, Worldwide Fund for Nature, Australia met with an advertising agency, Leo Burnett Sydney, to discuss ideas for engaging Australians on the issue of climate change. However, the idea for a large-scale outreach wasn't coined until 2006 under the title The Big Flick. In 2007, with the backing of Fairfax Media, along with the Sydney's Lord Mayor Clover Moore, Earth Hour was held on 31st March in Sydney, Australia at 7:30 p.m. local time. In 2008, Earth Hour 2008 was held internationally on March 29th from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. local time and had 35 countries around the world participating and over 400 cities in support. Landmarks around the world turned off their non-essential lighting for Earth Hour, and even Google's homepage went dark on that day. Participating countries and cities experienced a vast reduction in megawatt hours and carbon dioxide reduction. Millions of people around the world switch off their lights to show they care about the future of our planet, and joining Earth Hour switch off reminds us that even small actions can make a big difference. Earth Hour is a global grassroots movement uniting people to take an action on environmental issues and protect the planet by switching off all non-essential electronics for an hour on the last Sunday of March. And it is an opportunity for millions of people all around the world to take part in the global climate change by switching off non-essential electronic devices. And as the global warming is unusually rapid increase in Earth's average surface temperature over the past century, primarily due to the greenhouse gases released as people burn fossil fuels. And WWF invented an app called Footprint that pushes us to make small but impactful decisions to save the environment. This app contains several challenges that suit you to make small changes in your own life that can add up to something bigger. Download the app and start a challenging today. Raise and spread awareness on these current environmental issues and spread awareness on Earth Hour. You can inspire a few more people to take the next step to cater to our environment and home on the earth. Around 27,000 trees are cut down each day just to produce toilet paper. That's too many trees, harming the environment. A single cattle can release between 200 and 400 pounds of methane gas through burps and farts each year, which is 20 times more powerful than carbon dioxide gas. That's why animal agriculture is also contributing a huge amount of gas emissions. About 5 million tons of oil produced in the world end up in oceans every year. So there is a lot of oil spill in our oceans. Less than 4% of American forests remain today, and we don't have many forests left. Only 1% of the world's water supply is usable. 97% are the oceans, and 2% are frozen. And due to global climate changes, even that is also not available now, has been reduced to 1% due to melting of glaciers and ice in North and South poles. So the earth is the only place we all can call home, and without it, we cannot exist. Therefore, Earth Hour is important in encouraging us to protect our home. And this shouldn't be a practice once in a year. It should be a regular practice in conservation of energy, and natural disasters, pandemics, and global warming are key signs to show that our environment needs our help. With the steady increase in global warming rates, we need to straighten up and do all we can to improve our environment's health. So this Earth Hour involves every human being and doesn't leave the responsibilities to a few. So this lets us know it takes a collective effort to make a big change, and we all can do our parts to make it better. So today at 8:30, let's all switch off our lights, keeping the devices on which we are connected to international conference, so that we can also observe Earth Hour at 8:30 p.m. So with this, we shall conclude the commemorations of the day. Then we'll move on to our presentation section. Before that, we request everyone to quickly fill up the poll, which has been raised in the form of polls, so that we can invite our speaker for the day, who is one among us as part of EQ for Peace team. Dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form. It has been raised in the form of polls. Dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form. So we have with us Mr. John Eslegbu. He is an emotional intelligence expert from Evelos Consulting, Lagos, Nigeria. He would be talking on emotional regulation, a key element to living a healthy and balanced life. We welcome you, Mr. John Eslegbu, for the International Conference, 8th day. You can now unmute yourself, start your video, and start your presentation.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Good day to you. Thank you for having me today. My name is John Asiegu. I am an emotional intelligence specialist. Today, I am coming on alongside EQ for Peace as part of the EQ for Peace team. And I think that this is a very timely conversation. I am glad that we have such programs happening across the globe and having people from all over the world. Because if we're going to have global peace, conversations like this, discussions like this, and meetings like this are very essential. And so I am very glad to be here. And I want to thank the organizers also for having me. I'll be speaking around emotional regulation and how it helps you to live a healthy and balanced life. Many times when we talk about health, we talk about the body. We talk about the physical body, you know. Until recently did we start appreciating the importance of the mental health. In fact, in some part of the world, like Africa, we are just waking up to it. The fact that your health is not just your physical body not having a fever, but also your mental sanity, your mental health, such that you cannot be said to be healthy if your mind is not okay. So someone who is physically healthy, but mentally not healthy cannot function properly. And that is why you find people who cannot complete tasks, people who cannot manage relationships, people who cannot even manage themselves because they are mentally unhealthy. And so this is a very crucial conversation. And I think the first major assignment we have is to help people globally to understand that when we talk about health, mental health is as important as physical health. If I am going to say one crucial thing that I think everybody listening to me on this call should take note of is that your mental health is as important as your physical health. So the same way you feed your body with food, healthy food, vegetables, fruits, like the doctors prescribe, it is essential that you also feed your mind with the right kind of food if you're going to live a healthy life. And this is me trying to bring the importance of emotions and our health if we're going to have a balance. So the goal here is attaining balance in your health, balance in your physical and mental health. And we as emotional intelligence practitioners from study and training understand that you cannot be healthy if your emotions are not okay. You cannot function properly if your emotions are not okay. A disease, the definition of a disease, like someone jokingly described, is that there is no ease. This is. So whatever is not allowing you function at ease is a form of disease. And so not having a stable mind, a healthy mind, emotionally stable, is a form of disease, that's discomfort, malfunction as an individual. And so this conversation is very crucial, our emotion. Very crucial. I like to say to people that emotional intelligence is not a soft skill, it's not a hard skill, it's not just a life skill, it is life itself. Because if you're going to function effectively as a human being, then your emotions must be okay. If you're going to be productive at work, if you're going to relate with people, if everybody learns emotional intelligence, the world will be at peace. That is something that I also like to say, is if everybody learns emotional intelligence, the world would be at peace, because one of the goals of the global bodies is world peace. And if we are going to attain world peace, we must help everybody to understand the power of emotions in interaction and even within ourselves, and how it affects our relationships, our connections, our functioning, our collaboration, if we are going to achieve world peace. What are emotions? Emotions have three components. An emotion is generated, one, by a subjective experience. Every day we live, we are experiencing something at every point in time. A subjective experience can be something you heard, something you saw, something you smelled, something you tasted, or something you felt. So many times our emotions can be influenced by our external experience, or sometimes by our internal experience, but that experience is subjective. Why it is subjective is because two people can have the same experience but have different emotional response to it. I'll say that again. Two people can have the same experience but have different emotional response to it, which is why I say that it is subjective. So that's the first component of an emotion. It is a subjective experience. Two, there's a physiological response. So this is where the health part of things come in. So let's take anger for an example. Let's take anger for an example. Okay, when you are angry, there is a physiological response. Your heartbeat increases, your temperature sometimes rises, sometimes you stutter when you're angry, sometimes your body vibrates when you're angry. That is a physiological response. Now there's the behavioral reaction. Another component of an emotion, the behavioral reaction. This is where let's use anger as the same example, where you get aggressive, maybe break something, break the TV, break the phone, scream, yell at the person. That is a behavioral response. So these are the constituents of an emotion. Now, why am I breaking it down? It is because if you're going to regulate something, you must first understand it. If you're going to regulate your emotions, you must first understand how they come about. And so that understanding can be applied such that you're able to manage situations. And emotional intelligence in itself has five major components that hold it. We have self-awareness, we have self-management or self-regulation, which I'm focusing on today. All right. We have empathy, we have social skills, and then we have intrinsic motivation. For you to be said to be emotionally intelligent, you have to be proficient in these 5 areas. You have to be self-aware, you have to be able to self-regulate, you have to have a high level of empathy, you have to be able to relate with people, high social skill and relationship management. And lastly, you must be able to motivate yourself, drive yourself to action, for you to be said to be emotionally intelligent. And so many people think emotional intelligence is all about being gentle, being calm. There is more to that. An emotionally intelligent person is not the person who allows people to walk over them all the time. No, it is a person who knows how to navigate difficult situations without ruffling the boat, but achieving their desired results. That is an emotionally intelligent person. And for you to successfully do this, you have to be able to regulate your emotions. You have to be able to regulate your emotions. And that is what we're talking about today. However, I would like to say that you cannot regulate something you don't understand. So many times when I have to talk about emotional regulation, I must first talk about self-awareness. Because if you're not self-aware, for example, you cannot know your strengths and your weaknesses. You cannot know your triggers. You cannot know your value. You cannot know your perceptions. You cannot know your passion. And when you don't know these foundational things, it is hard for you to self-regulate. Because like they say, you cannot solve a problem that you don't understand. So self-awareness is critical if you will be able to practice self-regulation. A typical example is you should be able to know what gets you angry and what makes you happy. You should be able part-time to say how you're feeling. You know, this is very fundamental, but many people still struggle with it. If you ask someone, how are you? They say, I am fine. If you ask someone, how are you feeling? Sometimes they say, I don't know. Now, you have to be able to know how you feel per time. Are you sad? Are you anxious? Are you afraid? You know, do you feel rage? And it is fundamental that we must teach people that your emotions are valid. Many times, the reasons why people don't want to get attuned to their emotions, why they don't develop self-awareness, is because they are afraid of the reality of the fact that they have to tell someone that they are, for example, they feel depressed or they are angry. So this makes people to dissociate from their feelings. And you cannot self-regulate, like I said, you cannot self-regulate if you are not aware of what you're feeling, because you cannot solve a problem that you have not identified and understood. So this is me saying that self-awareness is critical for self-regulation. And so how do you develop your self-awareness? You ask for feedback regularly, ask friends and family what they think about your behavior, what have they experienced about you over time that they can tell you that would help you, okay? Also, you can observe yourself. At the end of the day, sit down and observe your activities throughout the day, and your emotional responses to different situations will help you to begin to develop your self-awareness. So you seek feedback, you observe yourself, you keep a journal also, where you write, your activities at the end of every day. These days, we don't keep diaries anymore. Back in the days when we kept physical diaries, it was easy for us to, maybe after a month, pick up our diary and go through it. Then you will see patterns, repetitions of things that happened, and with that, you are able to develop your self-awareness. Now, when you have successfully developed your self-awareness, another thing you need to also do is to be able to know what are your perceptions, what are your values, will help you develop self-awareness. What drives you? What is important to you? Because when something is important to you, you will then know how to communicate it to people so that they are able to respect your values. Because when people don't respect your values, it's going to trigger you. You're going to get angry. There are certain words you don't like being used around you, for example, because of your values. it is important that when you relate with people, you communicate it to them. I don't like this being said to me. I don't like this being done to me. That way, there will be limited conflicts. And these are the principles of emotional intelligence, being able to relate with people. And I would like to say that being emotionally intelligent is a proactive activity. You don't wait for trouble. You are proactive as an emotionally intelligent person. Now, let me go to the core of what I'm here to talk about today. Talking about self-regulation. For you to be able to maximize life, you must regulate yourself. I will give you an example. An interview was organized and the candidates were invited and given a time for the interview. And when they got there, everybody sat in a hall. Unknowingly to the candidates, a camera has been set on them. The interview was for 9 a.m. All candidates arrived before 9 a.m. and sat down in the waiting room. And while they sat, they kept waiting to be called. An hour passed, nobody was called. 2 hours, nobody called for the interview, to come in for the interview. And then there were 5 of them. 2 of them stood up, went to the receptionist, and said to her, "I'm tired, I'm not waiting anymore, I have something else to do. Why would you people invite us if you know you're not serious?" They left. And then the next person stood up and threw tantrums, was angry, and left. 4 of them left. Only 1 person sat down calmly, was not agitated, did not throw a tantrum, was calm, seated for about 4 hours. And after a while, the owner of the organization stepped out and simply gave the guy his letter to resume the job. And in shock, he asked, "But sir, I have not been interviewed." He said, "You are able to self-regulate. You did not react, you did not insult, you were not rude to the receptionist because you were not called in. You sat down, you coordinated yourself. That is why you got the job." So you see that self-regulation is critical, especially in today's complex world, because there's economic situation, there's the financial situation, there's a lot of things going on today. There are the global crisis, a whole lot of things that if you're not able to regulate yourself, you may fall off the radar. And that is why you see people going into drugs, different things, vices, just to be able to cope, because they are not able to regulate themselves. I found that most of the people that use drugs use it as a coping mechanism to manage their emotions, their depression. And the only reason you need a drug to help you is because you have not mastered the skill of regulating yourself. And so this conversation is very critical, because when a person starts using drugs, then their physical health will be affected. Not only will the drug not be able to solve the mental issue, because after the drug goes away, the person goes back to the depression or whatever emotional state they were before they took the drug. And so it is important that we teach self-regulation if we will have a healthy society. What happens when you fail an exam? What happens when you lose your job? What happens when you put money into a business, you make an investment and you lose money? What do? What happens when your relationship is having issues? You must be able to regulate yourself, because any decision that we make in an intense emotional state is most likely not the best decision. So for you to be able to make the best decision every time, you must regulate your emotion. You must not allow your emotions to control your behavior. That's basically what self-regulation is. I like to say that emotions are information that our bodies pass across. So we take that information and we analyze it, and then we make an informed decision from the analysis. So the emotions do not come to control our behavior, but they come to help us to make the right decision. And so we must master the skill. So sometimes I say emotional intelligence is the ability to allow a dialogue between your logical brain and your emotional brain. In neuroscience, we understand that there's the thinking brain and then there's the feeling brain, or what you call the emotional brain and the logical brain. Now, when information comes in through these 5 senses, it first goes to the emotional brain. But an emotionally intelligent person would not do anything with that information, would wait so that the logical brain can receive the information, process the information. That way you are able to make the best decision. It takes about 6 seconds for information to pass from the emotional brain to the thinking brain. Many times we don't wait. We don't process the information before we react. So that is what we call emotional hijack, where a person does not process the information of what the emotion is trying to tell them, but they react, they lose control. And if a person would not lose control of their emotion, then they must practice emotional regulation. In fact, according to research, science, it is believed that, for example, anger, when it is not managed over time, can cause you to be physically sick. You can develop diarrhea from excessive anger. So you see that emotional regulation is critical if we are going to live a balanced and a healthy life. Because a person, for example, that is always angry can also develop heart problems. You can check your research to confirm what I'm saying, to tell you how powerful emotions can be if we don't regulate. So they do not carry power by themselves, but they carry the power that we give to them by our inability to regulate. I hope somebody's getting what I'm saying. When we do not regulate, then we are empowering the emotion to control our behavior, our responses, and this could impact our mental, physical, and our physical health, our mental health, and our relationships in general. So it is important, very important, that we regulate our emotions if we're going to be healthy. So as I begin to move on, I would like to teach you what are the things you can do to regulate your emotions. Number 1, reframe the situation. Sometimes our first perception of an event is not usually the full picture. So when something happens, try to look at the situation in a different way. In a different way. So for example, if you lose your job, instead of saying, oh, this is bad thing, this is a bad thing that has happened to me, how about you say to yourself, maybe this is an opportunity for me to get a better job. Maybe this is a good time for me to start my business. So you reframe the situation, and it helps you to begin to see things differently. And when you do that, you begin to feel better. As simple as this sounds, it can save you a lot of emotional heartache and emotional headache if you're able to reframe circumstances. You view it from a different perspective, a positive perspective. The natural tendency of the brain is to always see things from the negative angle, but you must reprogram your brain not to see only negativity in every situation. You must try to look for a positive outcome in every situation, because some situations that look bad can actually turn out good. In fact, in my experience, I've realized that when an unpleasant event happens to you sometimes, if you do not give up, sometimes it gives birth to something even better. So it is important for us to always learn not to view an event from only one perspective. You must look at it from other positive perspective, and just possibly you may see the light, and that way you'll be a more mentally and emotionally stable person. So people who are able to reframe situation and see positivity in it are mostly emotionally stable, and they do not experience emotional hijack. So I have just taught you one way through which you can regulate, self-regulate, so that you can function effectively. Number two, you develop coping mechanisms. Coping mechanisms that will help you to regulate yourself in difficult situations. Now, the reason I keep saying anger is because anger is the second most limiting emotion. The first is fear. The second is anger. So when you experience certain emotions like anger and fear regularly, you must have coping mechanisms. If we take anger again for an example, a coping mechanism for anger could be going for a walk. All right? It could be getting a squeeze ball and squeezing the ball. You know, some people, you know, you see, this is what happens when you feel that energy. There's a generation, so the energy wants to be dissipated. When you are furious, is energy generated and it wants to be dissipated. All you need to know to do is to find a way to dissipate that energy, to let it out. So you go do an exercise, get a ball to squeeze. Sometimes you could take a pillow and scream into your pillow, you know, and these are coping mechanisms that you can use to regulate yourself. Because if you do not do that and you react to the situation immediately, you most likely will be creating more problems, both for yourself and for the people around you. And so, and if we're going to have global peace, then everybody must self-regulate. Because imagine we all get angry and we start shooting guns like the war that we see in some parts of the world. The world will be chaotic. So self-regulation is a global skill that is required today for there to be peace between neighbors, between friends, between countries, within the family, at work. We must be able to self-regulate if we're going to have peace, if we're going to have a healthy life. So this is a very crucial thing. So I said coping mechanisms. Now, coping mechanisms, this may not work the same for everybody. So for me, as an example, I like to take walks. When I take long walks, my brain is relaxed. I feel better. Cool evening walk. For somebody else, it may be something different. But you have to design your own coping mechanisms for managing difficult times so that you are able to maintain a stable mental health. Number three, self-talk. 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 I like to say that the loudest voice in your head is your voice. The loudest voice in your head is your voice. What you say to yourself is more tangible than what anybody else could say to you. So if you want to self-regulate, you must practice self-talk. You tell yourself how you're going to react to that situation. So sometimes you stand in front of the mirror and you say to yourself, I know this has happened and I feel like picking up the phone and calling this person and telling them off, but I choose not to do that. Now you're having this conversation. You let out how you feel, which is okay, but you tell yourself that I would rather go another route or do something differently or manage it a different way. Talking to yourself is not craziness like people think. No, it is very mentally healthy to have self-talk. So if you're listening to me on this call, you should talk to yourself sometimes. Now, you need to be careful about it so that you don't talk to yourself in the midst of other people, so they don't think you're crazy. But when you're alone, when you're in a difficult situation, just walk to a private space and talk to yourself. You will find yourself making better decisions, because sometimes when you let out how you feel and you listen to yourself, you then begin to think, oh, wow, thank God I have not gone to actually say this thing to the actual person. This doesn't sound really good. And then you find yourself calming down. I am telling you this, I practice it myself. It works for me all the time. So you must be able to practice self-talk to be able to regulate your emotions. You should practice self-talk to help you regulate your emotions. Number 4, mindfulness. Mindfulness, practicing mindfulness. This is a situation where you observe yourself. You stay in the moment. You stay in the moment. You do not get distracted by what is happening outside. You just stay in the moment. And mindfulness is a practice that calms you down, that gives you a better view of things. Okay? For example, how you practice mindfulness is just to listen to your heartbeat. All right? Just listen to your heartbeat. Any other thought coming in, you shut it out. You just listen to your heartbeat. It relaxes you, it calms you down. By the time you're done, you would respond to issues from a calmer state, which is what self-regulation is about. So if you're going to self-regulate to be able to help you live a balanced life, then you should practice mindfulness. Now, lastly, there are situations that are beyond you. There are certain situations that would be beyond you, that you may not be able to help yourself. This is then where you need an external help. And then you get to talk to a therapist. And that is my last point for today. Please do not be afraid or be shy to reach out for help. If you're having a mental crisis, please reach out to a therapist and get the help that you need. Because for you to be able to self-regulate, sometimes you need external help. And that is where therapists are very useful. And I'm thankful because I'm also a certified therapist, as much as I'm a trained emotional intelligence expert. I have a master's thesis on emotional intelligence, and I'm also a trained therapist. You know, I'm a global speaker like what we're having here. I do corporate trainings. You know, I coach executives. These are the things I do. I help people leverage the power of emotions to maximize potential and reach peak performance. And so, like I said, it is okay for you to reach out to a therapist. I help people every day. People talk to me every day. And by the time we talk, we are able to calm the situation and pave a pathway together. Now, let me quickly do a quick recap of the things that I have said today. I have said that it is important to know that emotions have a definition. They have components. And the component of an emotion is a subjective experience, a physiological response, a behavioral reaction. And I gave you the 5 components of emotional intelligence and how it is important for us to function effectively. I mentioned self-awareness, self-regulation, which is what I focused on just now, empathy, social skill, and intrinsic motivation. And then I said that for you to be able to self-regulate, you have to be self-aware. And I explained to you how you can develop self-awareness by understanding your values, your passion, your strengths, your weaknesses, observing your internal and external environment, asking for feedback. That way you develop your self-awareness. Then you you are able to then begin to practice self-regulation. And I mentioned and talked about ways that you can practice self-regulation. I said it's important for you to learn to reframe the situation and view it from a different perspective. I said it is important for you to develop coping mechanisms that will help you to manage yourself in difficult situations. I spoke about practicing mindfulness. I spoke about practicing self-talk. And lastly, I said it is important for you to speak to a therapist where you feel like you cannot help yourself. I would like to stop here and say thank you very much for the opportunity to be one of the speakers at this event. Thank you, EQ for Peace, for the opportunity to be part of what you're doing. And thank you to the organizers of this program for putting this together. I hope I've been of value to you. Thank you very much. I'm open for questions now.
Thank you for the wonderful session. It was very insightful, Mr. John. So we are opening the forum, the conference platform for queries, clarifications. Dear friends, feel free to unmute yourself or share your observations in chat box or raise your hand. Yeah, Mary, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir. I thank Dr. Ravindra sir and Sri Holistic Health Foundation for giving me an opportunity to express my opinion. Sir, actually, I learned a lot from this topic because I had done in my graduation psychology, and in masters I have done social work. So I learned more detailed emotional intelligence from you, sir. So
You're welcome.
You took it a very different aspect, and all the points you said was really valid and lot of takeaway from this session, sir. So hope
You're
to
welcome.
see you in more sessions, sir. God bless you. Take care, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that feedback.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else would like to share your feedback or observation? Feel free to unmute yourself. I think there are no any further queries. It was easy to understand, and I hope everyone has understood it very well. Very well presented. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So how do you see the role of emotional indulgence or the kind of impact it can play on patients with mental illness? Query.
Please say the question again. Okay.
So I will reframe it. The role of emotional intelligence on mental ill patients.
Yes. Like I have mentioned earlier, when you have a mentally ill person and you are able to teach them where, you know, some of the mental challenges we have emotional elements to them. So let's take depression. Depression sometimes have element of sadness that has lingered over a period of time. So when you help someone who goes into depression and you teach them how emotions work, how they're generated, what flames emotion, then they are able to know that, for example, when you stay in an environment that is dull, dark, quiet, as someone who is prone to depression, you most likely will, have a situation of that depression. So if you are prone to depression or you are depressed, you should not stay in sad environments. So if you are depressed, you should look for people, happy people, and stay around them so that they can help you, to begin to re-engineer your psychology so that you come out of that depression. So because depression is a psychological illness and the environment plays a role. So if a patient of mental illness, for example, experiencing depression, understands emotions and how they form, which is emotional intelligence, and how you can use your emotions, the probability is that they will heal faster from the depression. Because many people experiencing the mental illness are not aware of the importance of their emotions and how they got there in the first place. So if you begin to teach emotional intelligence to people who are experiencing mental illnesses, you will help them to heal faster. Now, let's talk about the people who manage the people who have the mental illness, the medical people in the hospital, the psychiatrists, and the, as a psychiatrist or a psychologist, you know that you have to apply emotional intelligence in managing your patient. Because a psychologist may know the technical tools, but he or she must learn empathy, for example. He or she must learn self-regulation and apply this to help the patient heal faster. I hope this helps.
Yeah, hope the query is answered. If you still have any, if you still require any clarification, you can unmute yourself and ask. Anyone else have any queries? Feel free to use chat box or raise your hand or unmute yourself. Okay, one more query is here. What role emotions or emotional intelligence plays in social media addiction?
In social media, what?
Addiction.
Please rephrase that, please. Thank you.
What role emotions or emotional intelligence plays in social media addiction?
Addiction. Okay. Social media. Oh, yeah, that's a fantastic question. And that is because we have a problem in our hands, a big problem, the social media addiction. And the problem we have is that we are depending on virtual interaction too much. And this is my personal professional insight. Our dependence on virtual interaction, our emotional dependence on it, is becoming worrisome. The reason why people spend so much time on social media is because when they are there, they feel good. When they are not there, they feel sad. And that's a problem. social media is not real. Those people, you don't know them. The ideas, some of the things that they share there, the pictures, some of them are fake. So when we spend so much time on something that is not reliable, that is not sustainable, then we are setting ourselves up for, so permit me to say, we're going to have more depression in the coming years. More people are going to be depressed because the reality of the addiction to social media is that they're trying to hold what is not real. Spending time there, depending on it emotionally. And so once the phone goes off, maybe the battery is low or the power is off or there's no internet, people begin to feel sick. That is where we're heading to. So it is a crisis situation, if you ask me, that we need to pay attention to. Addiction to social media is a crisis situation because it is becoming a norm. People can't stay an hour without their phone. Now, what that means is that they are not able to self-regulate. So, for example, if I were to advise someone who is struggling with addiction to social media, I would say, find a friend, talk to the friend, tell the person, I'm struggling with social media, I can't keep my hands off my phone, can you help me? And you and the friend can agree that every day for 1 hour or 2 hours, both of you will keep your phone away and just talk. Or you go to the beach and leave your phones at home, or go to the park and leave your phones at home. That way, you begin to reprogram your mind to have proper, tangible, real relationships and real conversation. So that is a self-regulation effort to help you break out of social media addiction. Of course, there are many other things you can do. I hope I've been able to attempt to answer the question.
Hope the query is answered. If you still need any clarification, you can share it in chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask. Yeah, I see a few appreciation messages, but no queries as of now. Okay. So finally, what anything you would like to share, which is of your interest, which you wanted to share to the audience? Please go ahead, Mr. John.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to say thank you again. I'm a leader in Africa when it comes to emotional intelligence, and I strongly believe that the world would be a better place if everybody was emotionally intelligent. That's my belief. We would have better relationships, we will have less wars, less conflict, and we'll be able to achieve world peace if we push emotional intelligence as we are pushing. That's why I agreed to come, because to give a different perspective to the subject and help people learn more, so that we can begin to live more collaborative lives, And I look forward to partnering. I train for corporate organizations. I speak at conferences and events like this. I am a certified therapist. I coach executives. I also write, and I believe that there's a lot of value to exchange at every point in time. My name is John. ICSW, you can search me out on social media and reach out. And then I'm happy to collaborate in any way possible. That will be all for now. Thank you very much, Dr. Ravindra.
Thank you, Ms. John. There is one query. How do you, if you'd like to take it up?
Please say that again.
Yeah. How do you address this hate speech?
Oh, well, I think that hate speech is a function of orientation. It's a function of orientation, the individual orientation of the people or the person that is engaging in hate speech, because you cannot give what you don't have. If you have been deposited with hate in your heart, then you will generate hate. So most people who practice hate speech have problems with themselves, I've observed. Because if you're at peace with yourself, you won't hate another human being. So they are broken people. People who practice hate speech are actually broken. I don't get angry at them. I feel like they need help. Many people you see going about, they actually need help. They have problems. So for you to hate on another human being, you have issues. So I think the ways that we can solve the problem is having a reorientation, like what they do in football. That before every match starts, there's a few seconds that is used to communicate, saying no to hate speech, saying no, to racism. So we have to have such policies at the global level where it is clear in every policy, in every document, that hate speech is unacceptable, violence is unacceptable, racism is not acceptable. Can we eliminate it 100%? I don't think so, because we will still have evil people, whether we like it or not, no matter how much we preach. But we can minimize it and then help people to understand the value of humanity. And that is why, emotional intelligence is important and mental health is important. Understand the place of humanity, being humane, exercising empathy, looking at people and trying to put yourself in their shoes. So empathy will be a tool for solving hate speech globally. So discussions around empathy should be had at the UN, at every other platform, and possibly a document on how empathy, should be a global language if we are going to take care of hate speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. John. And there is one more query also. How to establish harmony, where we can see there are a lot of conflicts in between various religious communities, ethnic communities, like black and white, and different religions are fighting with each other. How do we establish harmony?
Thank you very much for that question. I think the answer to that will be that we must first understand that we are all human. Before we are members of any ethnicity or any religion, we are first humans. We are all human, all right? And we should treat ourselves with respect, okay? When it comes to religion, I think the key word is respect. If you respect me and I respect you, you respect my views and I respect your views, you respect my tradition and I respect your tradition, then we would not have any conflict. But many times what we find is that one party is trying to force the other party, to accept their views against theirs. There's no mutual respect. That's why we need diversity and inclusion. It's about equity. Everybody respecting each other, compromising where necessary, and then just living together. I don't think that this is impossible, because from the very ancient days, people practiced plenty religions and they were peaceful, lived together. There were no wars. Whatever you believe is what you believe, that's fine. So we need to practice, equity, inclusion, respect, for other people, and then the conflict will reduce drastically. And also communication, because sometimes when you don't like something or something is a taboo to your religion, you have to communicate it instead of resolving to conflict. So when the other party knows, then they don't do that anymore. But people just get angry and they start fighting without even having any conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I think that's all we have.
Thank you very much.
So thank you once again, John, for joining us on this wonderful day and contributing to the international conference. And we gained a lot of insights and perspectives on emotional intelligence and how it's playing a role, and how emotional regulation is a key element in living a healthy and balanced life. As you rightly pointed out, we need to understand the emotions and we need to regulate them so that we can rightly reciprocate, so that we can live a balanced life. So thank you once again for joining us and being part of our team. And we look forward for more sessions in future. And congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form for session 2. As we have this Ramadan month going on, our next speaker, who was supposed to join at 7:30, she will be joining after breaking her fast at 8:30. So now, what we'll do, I will be talking on a few concepts or topics. Then once the speaker joins, we will invite her back to the session. Actually, we have been listening to so many topics which are related to emotions and emotional intelligence. And the next speaker would also address on suicide prevention and emotion regulation and various similar topics. As most of the topics are covered, I will try to experiment with this topic, with the ones which haven't been yet covered. Let's try, because we have to leave the content for the next speaker as well. Okay, you can fill the feedback form for session 2. So even before Westerners gave this concept of emotion or emotional intelligence and various theories for emotions, Goldman is very well known for his theory on emotions, and we have different types of intelligence, especially various theories we have studied in the West. So we have mention of these emotions, emotion regulation, and identification of these emotions, and also various instances where emotions were studied and experimented. And we see a lot of references in our Vedas, Puranas, Itihasas, and also even in Ramayana, Mahabharata. So Bhagavad Gita, that stands, the oldest evidence-based practice, especially in counseling. So that itself says that these are not new concepts for us. And we have been practicing this counseling and guidance since ages. And it is as old the Vedic period. And even our festivals also, lots of festivals, especially like Navaratri, or even when we take various other aspects of festivals, also mentions about various aspects of emotions. In fact, many days, each of the day is associated with one emotion. And even Ravana, who has 10 heads, each head is also associated with an emotion. So if we go about talking on these, various references that we can relate to with regard to emotions or emotional intelligence, we have a lot of references. So it is not a new concept for us. It has been there since Vedic period. We all exhibit emotions. And we have, even the Westerners has divided, categorized emotions into primary emotions and secondary emotions and tertiary emotions. But the basic emotions are, primary emotions remains same across various theories. When we are talking about emotions, there are two aspects of emotions. One aspect is positive emotion. The other side of it is negative emotions. So we can experience both positive and negative emotions in our life. And we need to tame, we need to understand, we need to regulate, we need to tame these emotions to live a peaceful and harmonious life. So with the context to Navaratri, the 9 days are identified with 9 emotions. Navaratri, Navarasa, or 9 emotions. Rasa also means the state of mind, or in fact, emotional state of mind. So each rasa is an emotional state of mind with a positive or negative emotion. So there are various emotions like anger, sorrow, courage, fear, disgust, wonder, tranquility, and various other emotions are there. These emotions are the basic primary emotions. And apart from that, and it can also vary, based on various theories. These emotions are to be identified. For example, when we talk about Navarasa and take these 9 emotions, like Shrungara, which is related to love, beauty, and Hasya, which is laughter or humor, Karuna is sorrow, Raudra, anger, Veera, heroism or courage or valor, Bhayanaka is fear or phobia or terror, Bibhatsa, that is disgust, Adbhuta, which is surprise or wonder or astonishment, Shanta, peace or tranquility. These are different emotions which are associated with Navaratri, these 9 days. These 9 emotions for 9 days are a proof that our lives are closely associated with these emotions, and these emotions play a greater role whether we respond or react. And how do we understand these emotions and regulate them and reciprocate them? Emotions can't be eradicated or prevented completely, but they can be controlled. As we cannot stop the thoughts, of course, there are various thought stopping techniques or thought distorting techniques, but basically we cannot stop them. There will be a lot of thoughts flooding them unless and until you have a great practice. It is very difficult. So these emotions cannot be eradicated or prevented or eliminated, but they can be controlled. So we need to have control over our emotions. And we need to use these emotions positively, constructively, productively. Otherwise, the same emotions will end up in destruction, in a negative, and may also lead to disasters. So it is very important for us to maintain emotional stability, which gives peace of mind and happy, peaceful life. So how do we identify or recognize these emotions? Let's look at each of these emotions. Like Shrungara, the emotion of love or appreciation, beauty. It can be both inner beauty and also outer beauty. And we know the power of love can heal anything. You know, love is the only thing that can bring everyone together. So we need to emphasize and recognize the beauty. It may be both inner beauty or outer beauty, like truth, honesty, kindness, humanity, non-violence, etc., which makes our life easy, peaceful, happy, joyful. Similarly, it is also a greatest strength for us, and if it is not managed, it can also be a weakness. Many times we see, especially we commonly hear, these breakups, love failures. Often some people take it in a very easy manner, easy way, they just forget about it. Some people, they become this devdasi kind of, they get too much involved and too much. They're not able to get out of that viscous cycle of thoughts or feelings or emotions, and they keep struggling. They keep struggling in that viscous cycle. So all these emotions can impact positively and negatively. So they need to be regulated, and they need to be, used or expressed in a positive, constructive, productive way, which will help us to live a easy and peaceful life. And love is our greatest strength because it helps us to care for everyone. It teaches us caring, sharing, and to be selfless to all the creatures, all the human beings, all the planets, all the plants, all the animals on the planet. So when we love the people around us, when we love the animals around us, when we love the plants around us, we take care of them. We care for them. We share our resources with them. We share our amenities with them. And we protect them. So that's why love is our greatest strength. We love people around us. We love the nature and the environment around us. We love the birds around us. We love the animals around us. So we spread the love around. And when the love is reciprocated by others, so we feel the same kind of love, feelings, emotions from them. So that makes us more happy, peaceful, and joyful. So love all and everyone. All are creations of God, which possess the divine experience. We all are spiritual beings. So we need to embrace these emotions. We need to rejoice these emotions. We need to be compassionate. We need to be empathetic to the people around us, to the birds around us, to the plants around us, to the nature, to the environment around us, to live in peace and harmony. There are various other emotions or feelings. Being compassionate, being empathetic, being joyful, makes us happy and makes others also happy, and also to overcome sorrow and to overcome other negative emotions like hatred, fear, and various other negative emotions, and also helps us to keep away or stay away from negativity. So let's embrace the joy, laughter, humor, to spread joy, happiness, and to feel the pleasure, happiness. There is nothing permanent in our lives. These emotions are also like passing clouds. We may experience different kinds of feelings, emotions simultaneously, or one after the other, or based on the situation and context. These emotions can be felt, perceived, experienced by us at different times. And based on the positivity or negativity of these feelings, emotions, it can bring us happiness or sorrow, which can also make your life happy or miserable. So when we learn to empathize with each other's sorrow, each other's pain, each other's suffering, we tend to be more humane, we tend to be more compassionate, we tend to be more caring, we tend to be more loving towards not only us, but also to others, which can help us to be more compassionate, to care for them, and to love for them, and to guide them. Otherwise, what will happen? It can promote hatred, anger, fear, based on the kind of process it happens. If it is internalized, it can cause self-harm, or if it is externalized, it can be expressed in the form of anger, aggression, hatred, violence, etc. So a moment of these emotions like hatred, violence, aggression, or anger can spoil or destroy everything. So that's why it is very important to control, to regulate these negative emotions. It can create a situation like hell out of heaven. It can create more enemies out of our own friends or even from others. So we have to regulate, conquer these negative emotions, which are demons, to our harmonious, peaceful, prosperous life. We all are strong, brave, courageous, confident, fearless, and by nature, we raise our voice against injustice, discrimination, so we all are having a warrior inside. But because of these negative emotions of fear, we are engulfed, we are entrapped by the fear, self-doubt, insecurity, because of which we might feel that we are out of control. Our emotions are also out of control, and we lose our decision making power, and we tend to make more commit mistakes, and the cognitive process also comes down, which hinders the decision making capacity and the rationalization. So finally or slowly, we come to lose control of ourselves and our inner strengths. It can be, when internalized, it can be self-hatred, self-pity, or it can cause self-harm. When it is externalized, it can show in the form of aggression, in the form of violence, in the form of hate speech, and it can also result in mass killings, shootouts, or killing others in various forms. It can be in the form of even sexual, like rapes or harassments, or it can even lead to killing, brutal murders, or various other instances. So we need to identify them, we need to understand them, we need to control them so that they do not destroy our internal and external peace and harmony, and also helps us to keep control of our life. Otherwise, our life becomes out of control and we lose our greatest strength. So how to identify and when an emotion is identified, whatever may be the emotion, whether it may be positive or negative, when the emotion is getting intensified, we have to withdraw from the thoughts, we have to withdraw from that situation so that we can reduce the magnitude of any such emotion, to understand them and to control them and to regulate them. We have to stay calm, we have to stay peaceful and regulate our mind and body. As these emotions not only regulate our mind but also regulate our body and causes various physiological reactions, changes in the body. You can see there is change in the heartbeat. There is change in the bodily process, physiological process, especially with the negative emotions. So we tend to have negativity and negative outlook towards ourselves and towards others. But instead of that, when we have a positive outlook, when we try to understand these emotions, we can transform these emotions. We need to understand these emotions in a positive, constructive, productive manner and transform these emotions, negative emotions, positive emotions, by appreciating the uniqueness and also appreciating the differences of the people around us. And with that, we'll also feel how wonderful we are within ourselves and how wonderful we are with others as well. And when we are talking about emotional intelligence, it is the regulation of our own emotions, especially the negative emotions or the toxic thoughts. And even in astrology, one of the Vedangas, parts of Vedas, it is also mentioned these as Shadripu, means 6 weaknesses. Shad means 6 and weaknesses means Ripu, or 6 enemies of mind. So these are Kama, lust, Krodha, anger, Lobha, greed, Mada, arrogance, moha, delusion, and matsarya, that is jealousy. Various scriptures assign Shadripu as closely associated with negative thoughts that cause suffering, that cause mental illness, that cause mental health issues, that bring out enmities, that can cause addictions, and even self-caused health issues like various diseases and disorders. Even certain things, certain negative emotions are also associated with a few planets in Eastern astrology and various sciences. Of course, we are not testifying, or any science or any pseudoscience here. We are just trying to explore how these emotions were mentioned or the references of these emotions in various scriptures. We are not here to testify or authentify any of these sources. We are just referring to the sources, even that may be the West or East. So Mars have been associated with the negative emotions, especially that bring anger, violence, vengefulness, or hatred. And it can be due to insecurity, feeling under attack or unprotected or submissive or surrendered, which causes emotions and subsequent action. And at the same time, he can be reactive, protective, and aggressive. And similarly, even Navagrahas are also associated with 9 emotions, 9 feelings. So we take these references only to mention that this has been not a new concept to us, and it has been there since times immemorial. Like even certain emotions like shame and guilt are also associated with certain planets like Rahu, which is also, referred as shadow planet. And various other references are also available. And this shame and guilt is also mentioned, or again, it varies from person to person, culture to culture, religion to religion, community to community. Certain communities, based on their traditions, cultures, or practices, certain things may be acceptable, or certain things may not be acceptable. So based on that, we may have different emotional responses to different aspects, different areas, or different domains of life, our moods and social interactions also vary to different aspects of life. As we have seen from our members of emotional intelligence, in simple is capacity for knowing oneself and others and relating them in an appropriate way through understanding, analyzing, controlling, or regulating emotions. How well we can regulate our emotions and reciprocate. And as I already mentioned, this emotional intelligence concept is known to us from time immemorial, from Vedic period. The Rig Veda, the earliest of the Vedas, have mentioned the aspect of mind, feelings, thoughts, emotions, and also talked about intelligence. So from the literature, from the scriptures, the art of managing, the art of leading, the art of attaining success depends on the self-awareness, self-regulation, and self-management of our emotions. The history of Indian literature and culture has many references with respect to these emotions and emotional intelligence. And when we look at the emotional intelligence from Indian perspective or Eastern perspective, the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Ayurveda, and many other aspects of Vedas in our Indian tradition emphasizes the nature of emotions, the characteristics of emotions, which must be understood, regulated, and reciprocated in a positive, constructive manner to have a harmonious life. Patanjali also studied and about the human mind thousands and thousands of years ago, before the Western philosophers has explored the concept of mind and emotions. Emotions are also related to the self, that is, to the soul or the Atma, which is indestructible, like mukti or salvation. So, karma theory emphasizes the responsibility of a person to decide that his happiness or sorrow is through his actions, which has the power to change his or her destiny. So the individual is not only influenced by other individuals, but also by the society, by the community, by the nation, by the world at large. We are influenced. We are being continuously influenced by various aspects and elements which are within us and which are outside us, surrounded. So these emotions, these feelings can get accumulated if not managed, regulated, if not provided an opportunity or not vented in an appropriate way. When we look at the Bhagavad Gita, the moral guidance that was given, or the counseling that was given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna in the battlefield is considered to be the essence of all Vedas and has a lot of references and connotation with the emotions and emotional regulation. Arjuna was going through a lot of emotions, feelings, both positive and negative at that time. So Lord Krishna played a role as a counselor, as a mentor, as a guide, as a supervisor in making Arjuna understand and giving clarification on various aspects of understanding those thoughts, feelings, emotions to overcome the feeling of guilt, the feeling of fear, anxiety, despair, and various other feelings. As Arjuna struggles with his emotional traumatic phase, he receives different perspectives on the struggle of an emotionally disturbed person for clarity of thought and action. Krishna's guidance to Arjuna offers a practical solution to get out of this turmoil of emotions. We can see similarities which can be observed between an unstable and emotionally unstable person at that moment, like Arjuna, and we can also see emotionally strong person who is Sthita Prajna, who is none other than Lord Sri Krishna. And he is emotionally intelligent, and he was very good in management of emotions. Arjuna has the qualified qualities of an emotionally intelligent person, and with all emotional perception and assimilation. But the crisis, emotional turnover has turned Arjuna in the ambiguity. But Krishna has guided through a systematic process, through a systematic analysis of the problem. In fact, there was multitude of problems. The very first problem was he was to fight with his own family members. He has to fight with his teachers. He has to fight with his own clan, within his own dynasty. And for that, whether he wins or loses, the guilt that is associated for being fought against his own blood is going to bother him. And there are various other feelings, emotions that are going on within Arjuna. Though Arjuna has all the qualities of an emotionally intelligent person, but still he was going through the phase of this emotional turmoil because he was initially unwilling, because he was carried away by the emotions, strong emotions. So he was not able to understand that this was a battlefield and it was his duty to perform his duty and not be carried away by the emotions. He has to play the role at a level equal to the opponents. Because Arjuna was in the same situation where the opposition was. Even the opposition was also going through the same emotional crisis. Because both are family members and both are going through the same financial as well as a social, as well as a political, along with it, emotional crisis. Both the parties were thinking and undergoing different feelings, different emotions, and were finding different ways to overcome that. So Lord Sri Krishna provides a systematic analysis of the available problems, available concerns, and provides solutions, identifying various desires and associated emotions, and anger, as these two desires and anger are two vices that led an individual, or that is leading individuals to his or her destruction. So thinking of materialistic objects and being attached to them and longing for them can cause attachment, which, if not fulfilled or addressed in a proper way, can lead to anger, frustration, or even at times fear due to anticipation of loss of certain objects. And it can also create delusions, loss of memory, loss of cognitive capacity, and can lead to discrimination. As Lord Sri Krishna, who is Sthiti Prajna, the emotionally stable person, as identified, the Arjuna asks Krishna, what are the qualities of an emotionally stable person? And what is the nature of an emotionally stable person? Because Krishna was also going through the same situation. Because on both sides, Krishna was related, all were close family members, and Krishna was stood in the middle now. And one side, there are Kauravas, and one side, there are Pandavas, and both are equally important for Krishna. But it's only, the way they have chosen. One has chosen the wrong way, one has chosen the right way. So this has put an equal emotional trauma, not only to both the parties, Kauravas and Pandavas, but also on the Lord Sri Krishna. So the three were going through this emotional crisis. So Krishna, when Arjuna was also going through this crisis and he was unable to take it over and he wants to withdraw from the battle and he's about to withdraw, Lord Sri Krishna describes the nature and qualities of a Sthita Prajna, who is emotionally stable person, who has highest form of emotional intelligence. So he says the description of a human being of a steady wisdom merged in samadhi the human of a steady wisdom and how he or she speaks, sits, talks, walks. Krishna tells he or she whose mind is not shaken by the adversity, who does not hanker after happiness, who has become free from affection, from fear, from wrath, is indeed the sage of steady wisdom, the human of steady wisdom. So he or she who is everywhere, unattached, not pleased at receiving good or not vexed at evil, his or her wisdom is fixed and stable. Like the tortoise drawing its limbs, he or she can completely withdraw the senses from their objects, and then his wisdom becomes steady. So we need to withdraw from our strong emotions, from our strong feelings, and we need to be more realistic. We should not be carried away by our strong feelings and emotions. We need to analyze them. We need to identify those emotions, which are positive, which are negative, and the intensity of the emotions. And we need to reciprocate, and we need to understand these emotions and feelings. Then accordingly, we need to manage them so that we can have these emotions managed in a proper, constructive, productive manner. So we'll continue. It's time for the session, and our speaker has also joined. So we will resume it after this session, if time permits. So finally, I would like to conclude is, we need to have command. We need to understand, control, and regulate our emotions, and through which we can have this strong emotional stability in our personalities. So I would like to conclude that this concept of emotions or emotional intelligence is not new to us and is available since time immemorial and has been talked extensively in various scriptures since ancient times. And it is also available as part of Indian ancient knowledge systems. So thank you everyone for patiently listening. And if we have any queries, we will take it up after this session. So now we will invite our next speaker for the day. We have with us Mrs. Faraz Sarosh. She is founder and CEO for Natural Life, mental health advocate and social entrepreneur from Lucknow, India. She is also part of our EQ for Peace team and would be talking on the topic of positive mental health and would be addressing on the predictive role of positive mental health towards suicide prevention. So we welcome you. To this 8th day of international conference. You can unmute yourself and you can start your video and presentation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Ravindra. It's an honor to be present here. Thank you, Matt, for taking me in his team. And I think Matt is not here. So I'll be speaking on the predictive role of positive mental health in preventing suicides. First of all, congratulations, Dr. Ravindra, for this conference. You are doing a wonderful job. and it's an honor to be part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Sir, I'll be sharing my screen.
Yeah, please go on.
Is it visible?
It's visible. You can make it full screen. It is still in slide mode.
Is it full screen now?
No, it's still the same.
It's still the same. I have no idea why it's not going on the full screen. Is it visible? Mine are the flashcards. I'll be speaking accordingly.
Okay, then fine. I think this would also do.
All right.
Continue. Yeah.
Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to speak on the role of suicide prevention, on the role of positive mental health towards suicide prevention. I'll start with this. Okay, what is actually mental health is? We oftenly use these words. I am not sure how, in the audience how many are the laymen and how many are the professionals, but I am assuming that I am addressing to more of the people who are not from the same field from which we belong to. So starting from there, what is mental health? It is very important to understand what is mental health and how it is formed. Usually we don't know what are the 7 dimensions that makes our mental health. It is utmost need to learn about it. So mental health refers to a person's overall psychological and emotional well-being. It encompasses how we think, feel, behave, and act in our daily lives. So are we able to coping up with the stresses, handling challenges, and are we able to form meaningful relationships? There we can determine what kind of mental health we are at the moment having. So the 7 dimensions of mental health are the emotional health. These are the 7 dimensions which are responsible in overall mental health of a person. It includes emotional health, social health, intellectual health, spiritual health, vocational health, physical health, and environmental health. In a very short note, I would like to explain all the 7 dimensions. The emotional health is the ability to understand and manage our emotions, including recognizing and expressing them in healthy ways. Social health refers to the ability to maintain healthy relationships, interact effectively with others, and navigate social situations. The intellectual health is the ability to learn, engage in creative and stimulating activities, and developing ourselves intellectually. The spiritual health, before the spiritual health was not taken into consideration by the psychiatrists, but today psychiatrists also believe that spiritual health plays an important role in your general mental health. As Dr. Ravindra was speaking in his lecture before me and mentioning that how culturally rich we are, and the concept of emotional intelligence has been inculcated in all of us because we belong to such a rich culture. So this spiritual health, what I feel personally, that we Indians have a good spiritual health, and to all those who do not understand what this spiritual health means, it is the ability to find meaning and purpose of life and to connect with something larger than oneself. We call it God, we call it superpower, or we call it universe. It depends upon the faith you belong to or the belief system you have. All the faiths that are in India have different names of their gods. Muslims call it Allah, Hindus call it Bhagwan, and others call by other names. So it is the what I personally feel, that spiritual health plays a very, very important role in your mental health. Now comes the vocational health. Vocational health is the, in a very simpler form, I would like to say, it connects with more with men's mental health. The kind of job we are doing, are we satisfied with it? or are we into it with our all willingness, or we are pushed to this profession? This is the thing that comes under vocational health, and it is very much important to take care of your vocational health when you are choosing a profession, when you are balancing your professional and academic life. You have to decide very carefully, because it affects your mental health, what kind of profession you get into for future, or for work, for money, for anything. It is very much important to understand the concept of vocational health. And if I define it, it is the ability to find fulfillment and satisfaction in one's work and maintain a healthy work-life balance. Then it comes the physical health, the ability to maintain a healthy body that we do through exercise, nutrition, and self-care. Now it comes the environmental health. Environmental health is the ability to live in a safe and supportive environment that fosters well-being and contributes to healthy lifestyle. That means in what kind of atmosphere we are born in what kind of atmosphere we are brought up. It plays a very, very important role in determining our mental health. Like Dr. Ravindra was mentioning before, that we all have thought process that can be positive or negative. So this is the main reason where our thought process gets set from the childhood, in what kind of environment we are living in, what kind of people have raised us. This all comes under your environmental health. Now it comes what is positive mental health. Now there is a difference between the two. Now we have divided this into mental health is an umbrella term, and now we are coming to what is positive mental health. Positive mental health refers to a state of well-being where an individual can cope up with the normal stresses of life, work productively, and contribute to their community. It involves having a positive outlook on life, feeling a sense of purpose, experiencing positive emotions, and having a good relationship with others. Now, when we say that we are contributing to our community, this is also the ability that we gain from our positive outlook. And what does this, anybody from the audience would like to answer this? I want to make it very interactive, because it is a very simple thing that we are discussing today. And I would like to ask from the audience, if anybody wants to reply, what does this positive word, what you guys understand? We oftenly use positive, but usually we don't understand what this positive means. Usually people think being positive means always happy. So I would like to have an answer from the audience. If somebody wants to reply, what does this positive word means? Anybody from the audience?
Feel free to interact, dear friends. You can share in chat box if you are unable to unmute. Or you can unmute yourself or raise your hand if you are unable to unmute yourself. Deepa says it's satisfaction.
Satisfaction. Yes. For some, positivity means satisfaction. But what we actually say, positivity means acceptance. The thing that is coming to us, first we are accepting the thing as it is in its form, whether it is negative, whether it is sad, whether it is happy, then giving a time to get it processed in our mind, then coming to the point and analyzing the thing, whether it is a plus or a minus. For what I believe, for being positive means that we are accepting the things as it is. Acceptance. Positive means acceptance of both plus and negative, because what I personally feel, that life is full of challenges. Life is not a cakewalk. Ups and downs are there. सुख है तो दुख होगा, दुख है तो सुख होगा. और ये कैपेबिलिटी हमारे अंदर अगर है कि हम दुख महसूस कर सकते हैं, तो सुख जरूर आएगा. तो इस उम्मीद को शायद पॉजिटिव रहना कहते हैं. एंड दिस इज द थिंग व्हाट आई फील पॉजिटिविटी इज. पॉजिटिविटी मींस एक्सेप्टेंस. Now comes why PMH is important in suicide prevention. What is the connection between the two? Positive mental health is crucial in suicide prevention because it provides a buffer against the risk factors that may lead to suicidal behaviors. When individuals have positive mental health, they are better equipped to handle the challenges and stresses that life may throw at them, and they are less likely to feel overwhelmed or hopeless. As I previously mentioned, that I personally believe, and I personally what I've understood what the word positive is acceptance. When we have that resilience, when we have that coping skills, and we have that power to handle everything, that comes under positive mental health. And there, when these kind of situations happen, it is seen that anybody who is having a positive mental health can handle all these things well. And the researchers has also shown that individuals with positive mental health are less likely to experience suicidal thoughts, attempt suicide, or die by suicide. This is because positive mental health helps individuals to develop resilience, coping strategies, and a sense of hope for the future. What I feel additionally, positive mental health also help in enabling individuals to seek help and support when they are struggling, which can be a crucial factor in preventing suicide, because a person with a positive mental health can only seek help. Because in our society, the stigma around mental health is so strong that today also nobody is ready to ask for help, nobody is ready to talk it out because of the stigma. Because whenever the term mental health is used, it is like that the other person will consider that person a crazy person, pagal person, because the conditioning we have from our childhood, the stigma around mental health, these are all responsible for this major problem that we have in our society. And it's high time that we have to break all this, because this is the first step to prevent suicides. When we can create an emotionally safe environment, then I am sure we'll be able to save lives, because it's high time we have to save lives. Suicides are increasing day by day, and we all don't know about the suicide statistics. It is also very much necessary to know about suicide statistics, because what I feel, it is not a group's responsibility to save lives, it is an individual responsibility to save each other's lives. So according to the World Health Organization, around 8 lakh people die by suicide globally each year, which equates to one suicide every 40 seconds. This is something very scary. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals aged 15 to 29 years of age, and it accounts for 1.4% of all death worldwide. And this is something very, very scary. This anybody can die by suicide around us. He or she can be our neighbor, friend, or anybody. It's high time that we should create an environment of an emotionally safe environment around us, and we have to provide everybody a safe environment so that they can talk about it. We have to put efforts to develop positive mental health in our children, in our family, friends, and everybody around us, because losing a life and dying by suicide is something that doesn't go with that person. It is the trauma that is left behind is also very, very scary, because if you meet some suicide survivors, then you can know that what kind of trauma they have to face, and they live whole life. According to the statistics, it is seen that the lowest rate of suicide is in UAE. That is 0.9 suicides per 1 lakh people in the same year. Here, I would like to mention the spiritual health is the main cause of lesser number of suicide in Muslim community, because from the childhood, the Islam has the message that nobody has the right to take life. As Dr. Ravindra was mentioning the spiritual health and connecting to the Indian culture, I would like to specifically mention why UAE is very low in this percentage, because of the faith they follow. From the childhood, everybody is conditioned in that way that whatever be the condition, you don't have the right to take your life. So this plays a very, very important role in preventing suicides in these countries. In terms of comparing suicide rates between individuals with positive mental health and those without it, it is important to note that mental illness is also a major risk factor for suicide. And according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, up to 90% of individuals who die by suicide is found to have a mental illness such as depression, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia. However, it is very important to recognize that all individuals with mental illness die by suicide, and many people who die by suicide do not have diagnosed with mental illness. So today we are seeing there are impromptu decisions. Children are so intolerant in their personalities. They can't handle stress. They are just very aggressive. They don't have that ability to cope up with the situations. So it is high time that we work on parent education program also, because in India it is also very scary to see that the suicide rate is increasing day by day, and the suicide among teenagers is also increasing. Coming to the next point, how PMH is a protective factor. Positive mental health can be a significant protective factor against suicide and other mental health problems. Positive mental health, again, if I repeat, refers to a state of well-being in which individuals are able to realize their potential, cope with the stresses of life, work productively, and contribute to their communities. This state of well-being is not just the absence of mental illness, but rather a holistic state of flourishing. So it is very important to make it very clear that it is very important for the parents and for everybody to focus on holistic upbringing of a child, holistic upbringing of a boy and a girl according to their psychology to prevent suicides. Researchers have also shown that individuals with positive mental health have lower rates of suicidal behaviors and other mental health problems. A study that was published in a magazine, it was found that individuals with high level of optimism, resilience, and social support had lower rates of suicidal ideation and suicide attempts than those with lower levels of these protective factors. Another study that was published in a journal, it was found that individuals with positive mental health have lower rates of depression, anxiety, and other mental health problems also. Because there are several ways that that are responsible for positive mental health, all the 7 dimensions that helps in maintaining a positive mental health, and that reduces the suicidal thing in a person. Now, there are several ways to promote positive mental health, and I would like to mention few of them. That practicing self-care and is a very important thing that will reduce this suicidal thing that comes in a mind of a person. It is very important to focus on practicing self-care, engaging in activities that promote physical and emotional well-being, such as exercises, healthy eating, and getting enough sleep. Here again, I would like to emphasize on sleep. We don't understand the importance of sleep. We don't talk about sleep, but sleep is a natural healing process. And post-pandemic, the kind of lifestyles we have chosen, getting most of the time online, we are not at all focusing on our sleep pattern. So it is very much important to focus on sleep, maintaining a sleep hygiene. Make your children understand the importance of sleep. Make your loved ones understand the importance of sleep, because this is a natural process when your cells get repaired. So if you have any difficulty in sleeping, follow a sleep hygiene. If you still have difficulty in sleeping, consult a professional. The first step to reduce the number of suicide is to talk about sleep, talk about sleep patterns, talk about sleep hygiene, and understand the importance of sleep. Now, second, I would come to building social connections. If we develop and maintain strong relationship with friends, family, and other social circle, then we find ourselves not alone. We have people around us whom we can talk to, whom we can trust, and whom we can share a few things. So it is very important, if anytime we are facing any mental health struggle, talk it out. It's not a good habit to don't talk about it, keep it inside, and just bottling up your emotion. It's not at all a good idea. If you cannot talk to anybody, then write. Writing is another very good exercise where you can regulate your emotions. So building social connections, practicing self-care, and seeking professional help. Now, because of the stigma around us, we restrict ourselves to go to a professional, because every time if we talk about a professional, even in our houses, people think that we are going crazy. No, we are not going crazy. Also understand the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. In our culture, the kind of atmosphere we live in, it is just that we need somebody to listen. We just need to vent out, and psychologist is the perfect person to whom you can reach to and you can talk to. He is the professional who will listen to you without any judgment, and he will only decide that whether you need a psychiatrist or not. Sometimes if we are undergoing mental health struggle, talk therapy works a lot. It's the best thing that helps a person to relieve himself from a mental health struggle, and let that person decide whether you need a psychiatrist or not. Because in our society, it is like whenever we feel any mental health struggle, we directly go to a psychiatrist and then we come onto our medication. But most of the mental health struggles can be treated without medication, and psychologist is the best person to recognize all these things. Consult a psychologist, go to him, go to that person, talk to him, and let him decide whether you need a psychiatrist or not, because there are several therapies that can help you in getting out of that mental health struggle. Developing coping skills, learning healthy ways to cope with stress and manage difficult emotions helps you in coming out of your emotional and mental struggles. Few activities that are very common, that like mindfulness exercises, relaxation techniques, and cognitive behavioral therapy is very common these days. Meditation is also very common, but still meditation is not for everyone. It is said that overthinkers should avoid meditation. So if you find any difficulty when you are meditating, consult a professional, go to him and ask him whether it is good for you to meditate or not. It is also very important to learn all these things, because in our exposed society, so many things are available and we think that everything we can treat it by ourselves. No, we cannot. We still need a professional. Stop Googling your symptoms. Stop connecting to Google gurus. There are professionals in the market sitting for you guys only, and they are the best person to help you. To seek a help is the first step to get out of all the troubles that you are undergoing. So this positive attitude and this positive mental health is a key protective factor against societal behavior and other mental health problems. And by promoting positive mental health and building protective factors, we can reduce the risk of suicide and lead healthier, more fulfilling lives. So it is so important first to educate ourselves and then to educate our dear ones, so that we can prevent suicide. Because I'll say it's not just an individual's duty, it is everyone's duty to protect, to save lives, to save people, and create an emotionally safe environment. Now, I would like to mention few factors that contribute to PMH, and these, in short, I have mentioned earlier, but again, I would like to mention there are several factors that contribute to positive mental health. It includes healthy relationship. Having positive and supporting relationship with family, friends, and community can contribute to a sense of belonging and help to buffer against stress and mental health challenges. Physical health, there is a direct connection between the two. There is no health without mental health, and there is no physical health and mental health are directly connected to each other. Maintaining good physical health through regular exercise, proper nutrition, and adequate sleep can have a positive impact on mental health. It is also important to learn how to regulate emotion. So learning emotional regulation is very, very important. Developing skills to manage emotions and cope with stress. Again, the same exercises that I mentioned, that mindfulness, meditation, relaxation techniques are the methods that can promote positive mental health. It is very much important to indulge in meaningful activities also. I think that if you all understand to staying busy is the best part, and in staying in a meaningful activities is the best part to take care of your mental health. Engaging in activities that bring a sense of purpose and meaning, such as volunteering or hobbies, can contribute to a positive sense of self and overall well-being. I would like to quote two lines here, that we all should remember that we all are born for a purpose. This we have to discover for what purpose we are born for. So there are many fields. You can try your luck. You can try where you are getting that the feeling of contentment. And I think the joy of giving is the only thing which can make you feel content and make you feel that you are important to this world, to other people also. And volunteering is the best exercise that you can follow, joining an NGO or working on any cause. And I think this is our responsibility as an individual, as a citizen of this country, as a human being, to help others. So I think this is the best exercise that we can follow, that everybody should start giving something in form of knowledge or helping others with money. This should be in a habit, and this will also contribute to a positive sense of self and overall well-being. Now comes the positive self-talk. We all talk to ourselves, but sadly we all talk negative things to ourselves, because we live in an environment where there is so much of toxicity and negativity, and we consume all those toxicity. And when we come to our self-talk, we talk negatively about ourselves. So it is a very important thing to develop a habit of positive self-talk. Developing a positive internal dialogue and practicing self-compassion will definitely help to boost the self-esteem and promote positive mental health. It is very much important to validate yourself. Don't depend on others. You are important. Tell it to yourself that you are important. You don't need others to validate yourself. Validate you. You yourself is enough to validate your acts, your things about yourself. And the practicing self-compassion is a very good tool to boost self-esteem. Break this chain of dependency. Break this chain of dependency. It's not good to get dependent on others. Supportive environment. Being in an environment that is supportive of mental health, such as workplace that prioritize employee well-being, contribute to a positive mental health outcomes. When we say in EQ, we say that try to establish a emotionally safe environment. When we say this, it means that we create an environment where you can talk about your feelings, you can respect others' feelings, and this way you can promote positive mental health in your community. Now, it is also important to have access to resources. Having access to resources such as mental health services, social support, and community resources also help individuals to manage mental health challenges and promote positive mental health. Again, it comes to that literate yourself, learn mental health education. It is very important to promote mental health literacy also these days, so that we can recognize our symptoms also, and we can see when we need help and when we don't need help. If we have some youngsters here, I would like to mention few things. This exposed society has a lot of vocabulary. Don't catch these words, depression and anxiety, from the outside world. Until your doctor don't write it on your prescription and tell it to you that you have some depression or anxiety, don't consider yourself to be a depressed person or a person having an anxiety disorder. This is very much in youngsters these days. Everybody use these terms so oftenly, and they don't even understand the meaning of these terms. So there is a huge difference between mental health well-being and mental health illnesses. Mental health does not mean mental health illnesses. When we use the word mental health, that means we are talking about mental health well-being, but we end our discussions on mental health illnesses. And also, this is to be remembered that untreated mental health leads to mental health problems. But when we live in an exposed environment, we know so many words. Don't start using it unless and until your professional has said that you are diagnosed with such disorder. So it is a request to you to tell your children also that stop using words depression and anxiety. There are so many, but they might be sad, they might be worried, they might be upset for some reasons, but they cannot be depressed. So make them realize that it is not good to use these kind of vocabulary. Now, coming on to strategies for building positive mental health, I would like to mention some practical strategies that will help you in building positive mental health, which I have already spoken about it. Now, I would just mention it in short. Once again, number one, practice self-care, build social connections, seek help, engage in activities that promote well-being, practice gratitude. This is the habit we don't have. We have to cultivate a sense of gratitude by focusing on the positive aspects of your life. And we can start a gratitude journal also, writing thank you notes, or simply taking time to appreciate the good things in our life. This is the habit that we have to cultivate. We live in an environment where there is so much negativity that we forget to be thankful to anything. If we are a God believing person, if we believe in God, then you see, when you get something from him, you thank you. When you don't, when you do something wrong, you say sorry. This is the same relation we share with other human beings also. So start writing gratitude journal, start thanking people, start thanking God, and look for the things that you already have. Don't look for the things you don't have. When we are on social media, we think that we are the one who is suffering the most, because we see so many polished things on the social media, so many glamorized things, and it makes us feel that we are the one who is not getting anything. But this is not right. This is all a fake world. Understand the difference between a real world and a real world. Don't get into this real world. This is all fake things happening on social media. Your life is full of so many positive things. Look for it. Maintain a gratitude journal. Be thankful to your family members. Be thankful to God. Be thankful to your children. And every day write down at least 10 things that you are thankful for. I think every professional will also tell you that this is the exercise that we ask them. If somebody is undergoing a mental health struggle, the first exercise that is being told to a patient is to write a gratitude journal. The other thing that is very much important is to set realistic goals. These days, everything is like छोटी बात तो हम करते ही नहीं है, हमें सब बड़ी चीजें चाहिए होती हैं. There are unrealistic goals. Know your aptitude, know your capabilities, and then set realistic goals, achievable goals for yourself, and then celebrate success along the way. This can help you in building self-confidence and a sense of person. If we'll set unrealistic goals, it is impossible to achieve them. Introspect, know your aptitude, work accordingly, and then you will be successful in your life. The other thing that is very important is managing stress, because we are consuming so many things directly and indirectly that is not good for your physical and mental health. And because of that, you feel stressed. So it is important to learn how to manage stress. There are so many techniques such as deep breathing, visualizing, progressive muscle relaxation. This can help you to cope with the daily challenges of life. Again, I would like to mention that life is full of challenges. We have to accept that life is not a cakewalk. Stresses will come, and we just need to learn how to manage it. I would like to again mention that we have to remember always that building positive mental health is a journey, not a destination. So it takes time and effort, but the benefits are numerous and it is worth it. So I would like to conclude on this. The first step to prevent suicide is to build a positive mental health. To build a positive mental health, first for yourself, then for your loved ones. And I think if we follow all these simple things, these are very simple things, that if we follow, then we can help in preventing suicide. And it is so important to save lives. Thank you. Thank you, Matt, for being here. Any
Well
questions?
done, Farah. Thank you for coming. It's a very good explanation of what positive mental health is and how to make it happen. So I appreciate that. You're expert in that department. Work with so many people, especially the young people that are having so much trouble today. Ouch. Well done. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Farah. It was a very insightful session.
I like how we're adjusting the attitude toward mental health as making it more positive so that it can be something that we can talk about, we can work with, that it's not so much stigma on it, like you said, and it becomes a normal, our feelings and our thoughts are happening anyway. So sure is helpful to be able to talk about them. Can't manage them if we can't understand them.
Dear friends, feel free to share your observations, feelings, and any queries. You can unmute yourself. Raise your hand if you are unable to unmute yourself, and you can share your feedback.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
I'm Mary Florence. I thanked Dr. Ravindra Sir and Sri Holistic Health Foundation for giving me an opportunity to express my opinion. Actually, the two key points which I took is you should not be dependent and you should practice gratitude. So my mom always tells me you came to this world alone, you're going alone. So never dependent, be you self-equipped with everything, be it housework, office work, everything. You depend on yourself more, don't depend others. So that I felt like it is, I've really practiced what you have said, and gratitude is the moment somebody does some small help also should have the habit of telling thank you. That two things is my takeaway, ma'am. Like it's a very mind-blowing session for me. Thank you very much. It was very informative and lot of positive elements and what we have to practice in life, like values. We have said it. So thank you very much. God bless you. Take care, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else would like to share? Feel free to unmute yourself, or you can use chat box. There are few appreciation messages. Nice session. If there are no further queries, so we shall move on. Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Parasara, for your wonderful session. In fact, though it was short, it was very insightful, and you covered almost all the aspects, and all the points you have shared are very useful and very much relevant to the present context, as many suicides are happening at all ages, we can see, and not only just in India, across the world we are seeing. And post-pandemic, has the suicide rates has gone up. Even at the time of pandemic also, I personally feel that due to, most of the cases, though it might be suicide or any other, all were gone into COVID, or might be something has happened. That's why in those days, we couldn't get much statistics, but still we can see the magnitude of suicides are raising year by year. We really need to address these issues, and this presentation has thrown light on various aspects of promoting positive mental health and in addressing suicide. Very well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravindra. And I think this is the first step to prevent suicide, to create an environment of positive mental health all around, because change starts from home, and it is very much necessary to focus on our home first before going out. And I kept my presentation very simple, and I kept it very short, just because what I feel, if you are delivering something on the virtual platform, things should it should leave an impact. My effort was that the people who are all present here should get something and understand that the simplest thing can help in saving lives. And we have this tendency of focusing on complex things, and we just forget that the simplest thing helps in saving lives. So I tried my best to keep it very simple, and I tried my best that the audience should understand that life is very simple, and the simple small steps can help in saving lives. Thank you so much for inviting me here. Thank you so much, Mr. Matt, for taking me along. It was a wonderful experience. And congratulations once again, Dr. Ravan, for organizing all these activities in so many days. This is a commendable effort. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Farah, for your kind words, and congratulations to you. And we wish you all the success and look forward for more sessions from you in the upcoming events. We are happy to have you on board in coming events as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Dear Matt, would you like to contribute?
Sure. Yeah, it's just to sum it up exactly what Farah said. It's good to make it virtual in a virtual event, to make it as short and powerful and simple. This is not rocket science. This is not particularly complicated. Dealing with our mental health isn't complicated, but it is, and it's not easy either. It's not easy, and it's often very painful. So most people don't want to talk about it, and don't know how to talk. They don't even know how or who to talk to about it. And so we're trying to make it simple, trying to make it a normal thing to do, trying to make it so that people are accepting, etc. So simple and easy can save lives in this case. It really can. So well done, Farah. And yeah, it's just about being positive and working toward positivity, consciously working toward positivity. It's not just about, oh, everything's fine and I ignore all the negatives. No, there's still negatives. Like she was saying, there's a lot of negatives. There's a lot of things going on in the world that are not happy. And we need to be able to deal with that. And if we can deal with that, we can be more positive. We can be more positive and save lives. Literally, people are dying to know what we know about this. So if you believe in being positive and mental health being an important factor, please share it with somebody else, anybody else, anybody. We call it each one teach one. So share what you know. People don't know about emotions. People don't understand them. They don't like them. They don't want to talk about them, but we do. If we can make it safe for ourselves and we can make it safe for other people to talk about them, then they will, and they can, and they feel better, and they thank you for it afterward. Just sometimes all we have to do is shut up and listen to people and care, and you'd be surprised what people will tell you if you ask or if you make yourself available. They call it being there for you. A lot of people don't know what that means. It means listen. It means what's up? How you doing? Weird things like that. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What are you feeling? What are you feeling? What are you feeling? Yeah. And help them identify it. We call awareness, acceptance, action, right? Awareness first, always, always, always awareness. And people are not aware of what they're feeling. They're not, and they don't. And if they are, they don't like it. So we need to aware and accept what's going on inside, and then we can take some action about it or not. or not, but still we're in charge of what's going on inside of us. And most people don't know that. It's a beautiful thing. So that's what we're trying to share. Please join in our sharing. As Farah said, and as Dr. Ravindra said, we need to spread this around. We need to tell everybody about that mental health is an important thing. Physical health is mental health affects our physical health, every bit of it. So thank you for making this available, Dr. Ravindra. Thank you to all of you for joining in and listening to us, and spread positive mental health wherever you can, please. There's no charge to it either. It's kind of magical. It's free, all of it. Be positive. Oh, okay.
Thank you, Matt, for your valuable, message. And take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude to all our team members of EQ for Peace team, especially our beloved friend, our Matt from EQ for Peace Worldwide. He has joined all the way from California, USA, and had shared his valuable insights on positive mental health, what it is and how to do it. And we had Mr. Raza Khan from London, UK, has delivered his talk on importance of emotional intelligence, EQ, EI, in positive mental health. And we had with us Dr. Chella Krishnavir Abhishek from Andhra Pradesh, India. He spoke about Krodasura, anger management in Mudgala Purana. And we had today, we had 3 sessions initially by Mr. John Aslegbu. He spoke on emotional regulation, a key element to living a healthy and balanced life. He joined all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. And we had a session by Mrs. Farah Sarosh on the predictive role of positive mental health towards suicide prevention. She joined from Lucknow, India. Finally, I tried to fill the gap. And though my topic was different, and most of the speakers has covered, so I don't want to repeat that. So I have taken few references from our Indian tradition and knowledge systems. As this concept is not new for us, but we need to relook as we have lost most of our knowledge somewhere down the line, and we need to take the support from our rich culture and traditions along with the latest scientific developments to reduce the impact of these negative emotions and in a better way manage our emotions and feelings for positive mental health and well-being. So we thank you once again. We congratulate the entire team for their efforts and taking their valuable time and joining us on this international conference of days 7 and 8. And we express our gratitude on behalf of all the organizers and also participants. And we wish you all the success. So, dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form. Dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls. And we see a lot of few of participants who are not connected to audio. I don't know whether how they are able to understand, because without audio, you would only be able to see the PPTs, how far you have understood. Kindly do connect to audio when you join up the conference. So tomorrow is the last day for the presentations. So we request everyone who has applied, and due to non-completion of formalities, we did not allow many presentations, and so complete by tomorrow all the formalities so that we can take it up tomorrow. The scheduled presentations and the unscheduled presentations, we request all the presenters who have registered, who are registering on spot, everyone, whoever would like to present. So tomorrow would be the last day for presentations by presenters, and day after tomorrow, we'll be concluding on Monday. We'll be concluding the conference. So we request, tomorrow is the last opportunity, and we invite everyone, whoever would like to present, do join us and complete your formalities as presented so that you can present your research work. Dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form. Dear friends, quickly fill up the feedback form. So we were talking about the qualities and nature of Sthita Prajna. So the path to the emotional stability is to remain unaffected by the fruits of action. Thus, one can reach Karma Yoga or can become Karma Yoga, which is the first step towards becoming a Sthiti Prajna. That means an emotionally stable person. Through Karma Yoga, that is through actions, also called Karma Marga, which is one of the 4 spiritual paths, which is based on yoga of action, which is one of the ways to spiritual liberation. It is the path of selfless action without being attached to the results of personal actions. So it is a spiritual practice, or it is a ritual of selfless action performed for the benefit of others and a way to reach moksha, that is spiritual liberation, through work, through actions. It does not mean that loss of emotions or desires, but an action led by calm, balance, and disinterest. It applies to any action. It may be a physical action, or it may be a cognitive action. It may be a thought process. It can also be a cognitive process, or it can be a feeling, or it can be an emotion in the process of action. In contrast to other forms of yoga, which focuses on isolated actions and meditative introspection, Karma Yoga applies to any action, in any profession, in any activity. This emotivism, also called emotional motivism, claims that they serve only to express emotions. These statements are expressions of approval or disapproval and not statements. So thus it is a meta-ethical vision claiming that ethical judgments are not statements, but emotional attitudes. This theory was strongly promoted by A.J. Iyer in his 1936 book, Language, Truth and Logic, and further developed by C.L. Stevenson in 1994. So this can be considered a form of non-cognitivism or expressivism. And it was also modified later on in 1950s as universal Prescriptivism by R.M. Hare, 1952. So the mind is responsible for processing the feelings and emotions, which results in attitudes and actions. They are divergent opinions, whether or not emotions are part of the mind. Moral discussions are emotionally sensitive, and therefore emotional intelligence can moderate the framing of different moral attitudes. Emotional intelligence presupposes a balance between emotion and reason in which neither is fully controlled. So when we were talking about Bhagavad Gita as an authority, not only to identify the nature of emotions, but also to show a way out of the darkness of emotional instability in the form of a dialogue or in the form of dialogues between emotional disturbance and the universal master, that is Arjuna and Lord Sri Krishna, and remains an irrefutable answer to many dilemmas or confusions of a modern man. The mind has the potential to shape human's destiny, helping him or her to achieve inner peace when it is acknowledged and controlled. Emotional intelligence focuses on the success of a man or a woman from a materialistic point of view, while our Indian scriptures have a more holistic approach. So dear friends, thank you for joining us. So see you all tomorrow at the same time, 6 o'clock, with the same link. So take care. Good night.